everybody. I'm Evelyn Thoren. This is the Dawn Patrol from 6 to 7. City Life will be from 7 to 8. And I am your host for the morning, and Sam Chase is my co-host. John McDonough is behind the camera. You'll hear his voice. Sometimes you'll see him on the camera. Coming in around 7 o'clock.
Mike, a little bit better.
All right. Can you hear me better now?
Perfect, yeah.
All right.
Can you hear me now? We have Attorney Sandra Meneses coming in around 7 o'clock. We'll talk about lawyer things, among other topics. You never know what comes up on this program. It's unscripted. It's live. We can't go back on what we say. We should really think about what we say.
That means we're not politicians, because they go back on what they say all the time, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, if this was being recorded, that's all right.
Evelyn, the word police tune in at 7. The word police are not listening at all.
The word police? Okay.
Yeah, that's LTC, Lowell.
All right. Well, I don't care.
They're the word police.
I'm too old
There's
for that.
always somebody out
I'm
there
too old
that's
for
ready
that.
to criticize.
So 7 o'clock, you gotta be real careful.
I'm too old for that
The
nonsense.
towns are laid back, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
You
too
guys
old.
are cool.
Too
Well,
old
right
for
now
that
we got an
nonsense.
hour.
All right.
I got a whole list of things. We'll see if we cover any of them.
You got a list of things. I don't have a list of things.
Well,
What's
I
on your list?
I sent people a list
I
of
know.
things.
And I left my phone at home, so I'm listless right now, so we're going to have to rely on your...
Oh, okay. Well, some of the
Yeah.
stuff on my list isn't what I sent you, but it is stuff you've
that's
listened
great
to.
stuff.
Yes.
However, last Thursday we were not here because it was Thanksgiving.
I hope not. We weren't here.
Yeah, right. Well,
Right.
I wasn't here. I was.
Although
it
I
was
don't
a-
know, John, what did you do for Thanksgiving? Maybe we should have been here. Was it a good meal?
It was delicious. I had
There
a
you
good
go.
time. Good
See,
time.
we should have come.
Good time. No
I was
complaints.
at my youngest son's house for Thanksgiving, and we had, obviously, we had turkey, we had mashed potatoes, we had squash, we had,
Traditional.
We
yeah,
had a
pretty
delicious meal. Turn the page.
well, there's a little
What was
more.
the dessert?
There's a little more to it. I
Well,
made
they give
dessert.
us a little more. Everybody,
I thought it was an interesting thing. What she
did
did
you
for
have mac and cheese?
No. What she did for the potatoes was she cooked the potatoes whole, and she had a ricer. And when she pushed the cooked potatoes through the ricer, you didn't have to you had to mash. And so
My
it
mother used to do that, believe it or not.
and it took all
Yeah.
the skins off, so you didn't
Yep.
have to peel the potatoes.
That's what my mother did.
I said, okay, I like that idea.
Pretty smart, huh?
Yeah, I could have easily done
Yeah.
that for the Friendsgiving we had with people up in New Hampshire a couple of weeks before, because I made the potatoes. I peeled 10 pounds of potatoes.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Of
work.
course, what I did was I threw the peels outside anyway in the compost pile, so it didn't go in the trash. So John wanted to know what we had for dessert, so I made my apple pie without egg, and I used an egg enhancer or an egg replacer or whatever they call that. And
These are ricers?
yes, and the one she had is the one that you look in the middle, large
The large
potato, heavy
yep.
ricer.
This guy?
No, to the right.
This guy.
Yes,
That is your traditional
that's the
ricer.
traditional one.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Is the potato already cooked when you do this?
Yes.
It's like a press. You can see how it works with the lever
Yeah,
on
it's
top.
like-
I understand, but this is not a raw potato.
No,
No.
it would be interesting to see if you could put a raw potato through that, because they're very hard.
Not sure.
I don't think you could.
No.
So it's boiled potato,
Yes.
baked potato.
And you boil it in the skin. You
Yes.
You don't peel it first.
Right. You don't peel it first.
So the skin is mixed in there?
No, the skin will not go through
Right.
those tiny holes. So after each potato, I'll bring one, I'll do something to do a demo.
No, I'll go to YouTube.
Right, so after each potato, what I would do would be the top lever there, you got a bottom one
I'll
that's
go to
attached.
YouTube and we'll
And you
watch
take,
a
and you take
potato
it out,
ricer.
and then you take all the skin off and throw it in the trash.
I never heard of this.
Neither did I. Now, well, you had other pictures up there, so
I'm gonna go find a YouTube. You wanna look at the other pictures?
only for about 10 seconds. I just want to explain something if anybody's listening.
I'll go back.
So if you go back,
Let me go to the back key here.
Heavy-duty stainless
We
steel.
could have a topless female show up. You never know. This is cyber world. Okay, there
so
you go.
you see the ones with the handle that screws goes around?
This guy?
Yes, those are food mills, and those go way back. I have one that's about 60 years old. one of those, and I've used that, not for potatoes. I use that to make applesauce because what it does is it separates out the culls, the seeds, and the skins of the
It's electronic?
apples.
It's hand
It's hand
powered.
These are hand.
Wow.
It takes it'll build up muscles if you do it enough. So that is an interesting.
Do they
thing,
have an electric one for us weaklings?
I don't know.
We have an apple peeler. It looks like a lathe, and you put
Yes.
the apple on there and you crank the
I
thing.
have one of those.
Oh, do you?
They're
Yeah,
adorable. I
those-
love them.
Those are
But I don't-
I'm
fantastic.
going to go off to YouTube land now and see if I
Okay,
can
so
find
he's
a
going to look
potato
at
ricer.
YouTube for a ricer. But there's all kinds of interesting gadgets that's out there. There's ones that are ancient, antiques, and then there's other ones. I mean, I don't like using a flour sifter, the kind that you do this with. It's like a cup, and then it's got the screen on the
You
bottom.
want this kind.
No, what I do is I have a large sieve, metal,
Mm-hmm.
and I put the flour in there, and depending upon what I'm baking, I might have baking soda, baking powder, salt, there may be any number of things, and I just hit it, and everything falls through,
Yeah.
and it works for me, and it's inexpensive in comparison to trying to do anything else. So sometimes you just want to do that, depends on the individual and what you're baking. Sometimes I do it, and sometimes I don't. I've even been known to take a cake mix and do that with it, so I don't have lumps.
I think sifting is important.
Well, it gives a lot of air
Exactly.
to whatever you're making.
And to your point, even with a packaged cake mix, I think sifting is a good idea.
So you got a
This is
YouTube on
7
rice.
minutes long.
Oh, there's the ricer,
Yeah, that's it.
and there's little holes,
Now, you talked about,
and then see what he's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, you cut them up.
You can, but we did.
depends
He
on the
just
size
did.
of the potato.
He just did.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's a potato ricer, but it did end up being mashed potatoes. We added milk, and we added.
But it's a lot easier after you've run it through the ricer.
Oh,
Right,
look
and that
at
takes a
this.
long time. That's a hand masher. It takes a long time to
No,
do that.
I don't do that. I use
I do.
I use a mixer.
But you're not supposed to do that. It adds more starch. You have to be really careful with
Well-
any kind of mixes. Don't ever put it in potatoes in a blender. They come up extremely gluey.
It's easier. I do it anyway. The twice a year, I'll take the extra starch.
Hey,
But
anyway,
you
so
talk about the age of that thing.
So what are we looking at here, Ev?
Yeah.
that's a ricer.
I
He's
understand.
opening up the handle. You put the potatoes in the
Yep.
container. Then you take the handle and you push it back down, and the
puts
potato goes through the little
Yep.
holes, and the skins are left in the little bucket that's there. And then you toss those. That's how that works.
Now-
Takes a long time.
No, it's
No.
like, it depends on how much you have for hand
Well, I'm
power.
going to bring this guy forward. a little
And
bit.
then you want to
I want to see this in action. All righty. Here we go. Now he's got the spuds right here.
Yep, he's making sure they're clean. I'm not exactly sure if he's he's cutting them up,
All right.
because those are large potatoes.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But they also, see how he cuts those up? It takes a lot less
But-
time to cook potatoes that way.
But he didn't peel it,
No,
okay?
because he's gonna rice it.
Yeah.
Now, many times, I just have if it's just
Well,
going to
now,
my,
Evelyn, last Thursday, you didn't know what a ricer was, so we're talking, well, he's going to rice it. You didn't have that word last week, did you?
I know what a ricer is. I
Oh,
just
you
never
did?
thought about oh yeah, I just never thought about using it to make potatoes.
What do you use it for?
Who the heck knows? I haven't got one. It's one of the
Okay.
few tools
All
I
right, getting
don't
back
have.
to this ricer demonstration. This guy's putting the potatoes in here.
With
Yep.
the skins.
With the skins.
All right, now, go ahead.
And he's not putting very many in there. We put a whole potato in.
That's a small ricer.
He's
They come in different sizes. Okay.
Yes, so
he's
we had a good-
bouncing it
All right.
up.
So, now my,
He's got a lot in there now, Ev.
And he's putting it in a vintage Corning dish.
now watch this. Squeeze. Look at that. Out
Wow.
comes, no skin. See that?
I love it. So I'm going to take a look
That
and
is
order
a
one of those for
great
myself.
idea. I never would have even thought of doing that.
Yep, and when
Yeah.
and then afterwards when you add
So, boys and girls, there's the perfect Christmas present. Go get
Get a ricer.
a
your
ricer for
Chef
someone who likes
Boyardee
to,
a ricer.
yep, if you have somebody that likes to cook and they don't have one,
And you can
here's
get,
an idea.
and you can get bigger ones than that too.
Yep.
So you talked about the age of the thing. So we had a ricer when I was a kid in the 1950s, which tells me that my mother probably got it in the late 30s when she was married, right? So these are not new devices.
Right.
They've been around for a long time, okay?
So that's the end of that.
Yeah.
No, we got more here. He's got more.
And sometimes what
Well, he's doing mashed potato. Okay.
not riced potatoes.
Yeah.
And it's called a rice simply because when you push everything through, it looks like rice.
What a good idea. I never would have thought.
So you can season it.
Yeah.
One of the other hints my father always had was he took the milk and the butter, and he
So
would.
your father had a ricer.
No, he would take for mashed potatoes. After he would mash them. All right, he always peeled them. He never ate the skins, and he would take the milk and the butter and warm it up, so that you weren't adding cold butter and cold milk to your mashed potatoes.
That's a good idea.
Because what it would do would be to make your mashed potatoes
He's got no presto at
less
the
hot.
end. So I'm going to go to that masher thing one more time,
I thought it was an interesting tool.
just in case people didn't look.
Yeah, it's certainly been
Okay,
around
so what
a
you
long
do is
time. Now, my mother we didn't do potatoes, but she did like squash and turnips
he cut up the potatoes,
with the
he
ricer.
boiled the potatoes,
Yeah.
then he
So-
put them in this instrument or this cookware called a ricer.
Isn't that cool?
And you dump all those pre-cooked potatoes in there, so
But
they
again-
don't go in raw.
No, they go in cooked.
No, you can't.
And you have to make sure you got very salty water.
Salty water.
Yeah, you got to cook the potatoes in.
Didn't know that.
Yep, you got to
Why
add
does it
salt
have
to
to
the
be
water. Well, what it does, it will cut down the cooking time because it raises the temperature, the boiling temperature. Because
got
now you've got something else in it other than water.
So now the potatoes are 220 instead of 212.
Oh,
Whatever.
I saw a little piece of skin.
That's because they're not whole potatoes. Anyway, so that's the potato thing.
That's a good point.
Now, when I have squashes, like I do a lot of stuff with butternut squash, there's two things that I have done. One is I take and I cut it lengthwise in half, I take the seeds out, and then I turn it upside down.
Would you use this ricer for that?
Nope, but you can. But I turn the squash, I don't have a ricer, so I haven't used it yet. So I turn it upside down in a pan that I've got parchment paper on, add some water to it, cover it with foil, and I bake it. Then I can scrape out all of the
Sam,
flesh.
you got one of these gizmos?
No, but we had one when I was a kid, and my mother.
Sam, that unit you're using, the battery's dead, so kindly turn the unit on its side and grab another unit.
Yeah, have this one.
So, yeah. So my mother, we had one growing up, and she never did potatoes, but she used it for squash and turnips. Okay, that's what she.
How would you
used.
get squash? Squash is
Same
stringy.
thing. You cut it up in little pieces, boil it, and you put
Well,
it in the
depends on the
ricer.
squash.
My sister-in-law, she makes the squash and the turnip.
Yeah.
And it's out of this world. My sister-in-law Peachy, she makes it.
Right,
Oh
so
my
when I
God,
did the
it's
butternut squash for one of the gatherings that we had with friends, I added maple syrup
Now,
and
what's he
butter
putting
to
here,
it,
like
and cinnamon.
Milk. For
Oh, to make the mashed potatoes.
Yes, because
right.
you want them fluffy. And then he's got melted butter.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's put a little bit too much liquid in there.
No,
Look, it looks kind of soupy to me.
no, he
It's
wants
yet to
them.
bake it. He's gonna bake it, lad.
He could be baking it, and you could also add cheese to it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with this.
Breadcrumbs.
On the top, if you have them with butter. So he's just doing whatever seasoning he does. I always add garlic
Something,
powder.
if you could blend like the stuffing into the potatoes, that'd
Yeah.
be an interesting twist.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know the
but
soft stuffing that you have in the
Yeah.
turkey?
I don't know if I would do that to bake it, but that's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things you can do with potatoes.
Okay, we're done with this guy.
We're done with that. Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Mr. Ricer.
Right.
See you later, pal.
So that was the big takeaway I had from Thanksgiving, but you did ask about what we had for dessert. I made my chocolate bark, which is graham crackers and a toffee, and then a
Chocolate.
dark chocolate spread on top of that. Then I made my Swedish apple pie, but I didn't put an egg in it because my granddaughter's allergic to eggs, so I used an egg replacer. And what happened with the egg replacer when I did that, the top of the pie, instead of coming out with like a cakey crust on the top, it was like a cookie crust. If you make creme brulee, you take the spoon and you can crack the top of it because they've melted the sugar, and it looks almost like glass. Well, you could take the top of this pie and hit it with a spoon, and it would break the pieces like a cookie, a very thin, crisp cookie on the top. Tasted really good. Tastes like candy. So that was a different thing that happened when I made the apple pie. What else did I make? I made my herb bread, and she made a chocolate cream pie and a cheesecake. And there were chocolate chip bars I made that had no eggs in them. I will make that all the time. I got to find the recipe.
I got some text here. I can't put them up
And
yet
I will,
because
I'll share that with everybody, that if you want something really quick that isn't a cookie, that has chocolate chips in it, these were very chewy and very good. The 8x8 pan I made for
we'll have to
these
take your
chocolate
word
chip
for
ones.
it.
Well, I'm going to bring some in. I'm going to make them. Then you can taste them.
Okay. So this texture says, once again, the right tool for the right job.
That's exactly right.
The right tool for the right
Steaming
job.
butternut squash will keep out the moisture when you go to mash it.
Yes, that's the other good feature of the ricer. I mean,
Any other ones out there?
I've seen people making mashed potatoes.
So if
and-
you steam it, it's better?
yeah.
Which things? The squash?
You mean versus boiling it?
All Three Musketeers, squash, potatoes.
Well, it depends on the
Turnip.
squash. If you
Turnip.
have acorn squash,
Well, that's
you want to
acorn is
bake it.
different. Acorn is different.
Right. And if you have a spaghetti squash, you want to bake that upside down because it's a
You're
stringy
not going to rice
squash.
that, but you're not going to rice
No.
that.
If I have a butternut squash, I could rice it.
I can see how they talk. See, it reminds me of when my wife was an active school teacher. They have little school teacher meetings, and they'd talk in code, and they'd give the kids the rat test. Now we can say, did you use a ricer? Now we know what you're talking about. The audience has no idea.
Well, now they do. What we should do is I should have a tidbit every single week on something to do with some kind of a tool and what you can and can't do
Well-
with it. So it would be kind of interesting.
The ricer's a nice gift for
It
the
is.
chef and your family.
And I think I saw the price, it was like $43.
Well, I'm going to look it all up
Yeah.
and see what they are, but you want something that's heavy duty.
Oh, yeah. I
Now,
would get one that's a little bigger than the one.
Well, if you can get into
had
the
in
restaurant store, they're out in Tewksbury.
now,
Ever go to that restaurant store out in Tewksbury?
No.
no, but there's
There's
another.
a commercial restaurant store in
Well,
Tewksbury.
that would be interesting to go to.
Forget what the hell it's called, but oh my God, they have all that. Once one of my friends got me in, I was able to buy all this stuff to keep food warm. out there.
Whereabouts in Tewksbury is it?
Dascom Road.
Oh, okay. All right.
Public can go in?
No, you gotta
Yeah,
know
you
a
gotta have a business.
restaurateur.
Yeah. Well, you could have any kind of a license as long as you could
Well, you
register.
can
John McDonough Catering Company.
You can make up I guess the funeral home got in there.
There you go.
Well, if you have
Oh.
a sales tax number, you ought to be able to get in.
That's a good point.
The other little tool that's similar to a ricer is a garlic press,
Much smaller.
and
though.
it's only about an inch or and a half square. And that garlic press does the same thing. You peel the garlic, you put it in there, and you squeeze it, and instead of chopping everything up, you've got small pieces of garlic.
Sam's over there saying prayers on the side. He's gonna
That's right.
sneeze.
Well, no amount of
A
praying
sneezing
is going
trick.
to help me, I can tell you.
That's not true. Let's not go there. All right, so, anyway, so we talked about, Thanksgiving. I know that you probably talked about it more on your Monday show, John. And
We had no show yesterday.
Why not?
because of the snow.
No, actually, Hillary was going to be, and Marty, Lori, Linda's taking a couple of weeks off. So Marty, Lori was going to be here with Hillary and Hillary Winterstrom and Hillary texted me the night before. She said, I don't like driving in the snow so much. I said, we'll take the week off. I'll see you next week. So it was going to be me and Marty. Then Marty called me up and he said, I don't feel tip-top.
Well, that's.
I got to stay
yeah.
close to the bathroom.
If
So,
you're not feeling well, then stay away.
Well, I had some kind of a cold early in the
so
week.
I sent a text to all the public access people saying, no show. And so they put a repeat on. So there's a repeat on yesterday. But I did get texts. I'm glad I shut my phone off because I got a bunch of texts. You're running yesterday's show. So it's good to know we
Like you
have
wouldn't
an
know that.
audience.
I mean, they actually
Well-
sent you a text to tell you that?
Yes. I like our audience is always right. See, in Lowell,
That's like me,
very
that's
often
like me
we'll-
sending you a text, John, you're sitting behind the microphone now. Did you know that?
No, Sam, what happens
It's not
is,
quite the same.
some
but
weeks,
similar.
we take a Monday off. And Lowell is famous for this. They will forget to put us back up live the next week. So it will be the Monday after the holiday, a whole week later. Columbus Day, whatever day it's going to be. And so a week later, and they're running a repeat show. So then I got to text LTC and say, hey, you're running last week. Oh, we'll fix that for this afternoon. So
All right.
I have no idea.
I stand
Right now, I
corrected.
don't know what they're running in Chesford, do you? You assume they're running us. Did you check?
No, they're not, they only run us 1 hour, well, they run us 2 hours,
Today.
on Thursdays, and 1 hour, the 7 to 8 the
We
other
should-
days.
We should be on right now,
Yes.
Yes.
but we don't know.
We don't know unless somebody's out there listening to us at 6 a.m.
Yep. So that's that.
Now, if you're listening to us when this is repeated in Chelmsford, and you have any questions, or you would have any comments, you have on your screen, call or text 978-808-8200, and the following week we'll pick up whatever those comments would be, and we'll answer them for you. So I know some people don't get up at 6 o'clock to watch us. They watch us on the Sunday or the Tuesday.
No, the Chesfortiers are very good. They'll send me a text, because I'll be out plowing snow, and they'll send me a text,
Well, that's good.
asking a question.
So anyway, there's a lot of stuff that is happening out there. One of the articles I sent you guys was that the governor of the Massachusetts, because the voters decided they did not want MCAS as a graduation requirement, a new testing system. So she created a council, and they came up with new graduation requirements, and they came up with a new testing system. And the
Arose by
unions,
any other name,
well,
right?
the unions are not, the teacher unions are not very happy
Of
because
course
they
not.
said all you're doing is creating new testing that's
Right.
not called MCAS.
Yeah.
And, well, the ballot question didn't say any testing, it was specific, MCAS, so this is not MCAS. But the way that the governor put it was that they are going to have testing at the end of every course to make sure that everybody has the same amount of information.
Well,
So that's like having a final exam.
but isn't that normal anyway, or?
Well, that's what she said. That's why
Yeah,
she couldn't
okay.
understand why people were against it.
Yeah.
And so, just wait a while, and you'll find some more new stuff out there with regard to her. There's also on X, and I do not subscribe to X. I don't access that. There's a Massachusetts governor something or other, and so on Google, a lot of the articles related to Governor Healy and all the different things that she's doing is on X. So if you have X, you can certainly look up Massachusetts governor, and you'll find out all of the different other things that she is doing.
All the dastardly things.
Within the state. There was another article that, and this will lead into the select board meeting in Chelmsford on Monday night, one of the action items they had. And the Boston mayor, they're losing a lot of office spaces to be rented or to be used or any number of things because she wants to raise taxes again on businesses. And there's a whole article out there on what Mayor Wu wants to do. So again, people
Well,
elected her.
She's a socialist.
Well, yeah, and everybody wants free stuff.
Business people are bad, they're greedy, they're grasping, they're grubby, and we need to tax them and take that money and give it to other people.
Right.
That's her
And,
philosophy.
So you also have
the business person in turn must raise their prices so the consumer pays that bill.
Right, and you're right, but here's the problem. People need to understand that the marketplace determines the cost of goods sold. It's not, what I'm trying to say is, if I want to make, let's say I want to make cups, okay? and it costs me 50 cents to produce this cup, and I say, well, it cost me 50 cents, so I'm going to sell it for 75 cents. Well, the market may not want to pay 75 cents for my cup, and if they can't do that, I'm going to go out of business. So just because it costs me X to make something doesn't automatically mean I can sell it for X plus 3. That's not how it works, okay? And that's where these socialists get that's what trips them up, okay? They don't understand that at some point the consumer says it's not worth it to me to pay that price. All right, so if a business expense goes up, it doesn't mean that the business can automatically tack that full amount onto its sales price. They have to be cognizant of what the market will tolerate in terms of price.
Right, unless you get
Okay.
all of those
Sam,
businesses that
I
make
would
them
agree with you
together.
yesteryear, but no longer, because I see these gasoline stations saying, I'm selling gas for $3 a gallon,
Mhm.
and the place right across the street is selling it for $2.90,
Mhm.
and people will cross the street for $2.90.
Mhm.
Down the street, they could be selling it for $2.70, but if the guy does not present the price properly, they stick with the $2.90 guy. It's the same gas.
There's other pieces to that.
Right, that's.
Well, give me the pieces.
Right.
Why
The
would
other
I go
pieces
buy
are-
gas for $2.91 when I get a $2.70?
Competition and the market determine the final
Right,
price.
and it depends again on how,
Supply and
not to
demand.
use the term again, how you market it, not in terms of advertising. That's why in front of a lot of gas stations, you have the signage, and it's in red, so you can see it.
So in Chelmsford, we have a gas station. I won't say which one it is, but there is a gas
You can say
station
anything you want.
that, well, I just don't.
Wood Police
I
out
don't
here
feel
until
like,
7.
I don't feel like specifically identifying it, but there is a gas station whose gas prices are about 40 or 50 cents higher than everybody else.
I think there's more than one gas
This is
station.
Well,
the
I'm
good
thinking,
stuff.
I'm thinking of one.
Well, I can
and-
think of two.
And you say to yourself, why would anybody buy gas from him when they can go less than a half a mile down the road
And buy it from her.
get it for 50 cents less? And the answer is because there are this particular gas station who also does repairs. People like the service he gives for repairs, and so they buy the gas from him. Okay,
Well,
so
the-
there are other things in play.
Who's pumping it?
Okay, there are other things in play.
Who's
all right?
pumping it? Like my sister-in-law, she'll pay a premium
Yeah.
if they're pumping it for her.
Yeah, there are, yes, I know, a lot of people are like
Like the
that.
best bargain around, a place called Wright's.
Mhm.
They pump your gas. It's just past Gary's, at the Chelmsford Creamery, heading towards
Yep.
Barica.
Yeah, I know where it is.
They pump. They only have regular gas. They don't have premium gas. They only have regular gas, but they pump it for you.
Well, Glenn, when we drove by it, Glenn
And it's
said
cheap.
something about why is it so expensive, and I said, well, for one thing, it's location. It's right.
Oh,
It's very convenient.
Exactly.
And so if people don't know about the other gas stations, they're passing through
Whatever the
on their
market-
way to work, and they need gas right away,
Right.
there it is. So
Why,
sometimes,
why is it always more expensive right off the highway? And that's the reason.
yes, and
okay?
that's, yeah, you gotta,
Well, how about on the highway? It's a buck more.
yes.
Exactly.
Because, well, there's other,
You're
see,
trapped at that point.
Right, but-
You can't go anyplace else.
you could always ask.
Right.
Okay, especially if you're on the highway, extra taxes. So why is gas like $5 a gallon in California, but it's only $2 in Idaho?
Taxes.
And
That's the
part of
answer.
it is all the state taxes. The gas is cheap enough. It's what the state does after the fact, when they get it, to say, okay, we're going to tax this. And the lower the cost of the gasoline, if they don't change the gas prices, the more money the state is taking out of your pocket
Right.
on an additional tax. So that's how we can work with gasoline.
If you subtract the effect of taxes on gasoline, okay,
Oh, gas is cheap.
the gas that you buy today in terms of a constant dollar is cheaper than what you were paying in 1967, okay? No, it's true. So, I mean, and again, it's supply and demand. And I can remember back in the early 70s, they were saying that we have 30 more years of oil reserves in the world. You remember that? That's what they were
Yeah,
telling
well,
us.
and-
Yep.
Okay?
They say the same thing today.
And it's ridiculous, okay? They also predicted an ice age. You remember that?
Well, we can
Okay.
get closer to that ice age because
So-
we're at the end of
Yeah.
one.
But I mean, this is why I've stopped listening to the so-called experts. You have to do your own research if you want to know the facts, because if you listen to these pinhead pundits on TV, you're going to go in the wrong direction, okay?
So,
So what we're looking at here is a
Oh, that looks
Leopard.
good.
This is a Leopard 1 that was attacked by a Russian drone. And so I say tanks. Tanks for the tanks. The tanks are out of business. Leopards,
Mhm.
this is the Leopard 1, which is not the brand spanking new one, but this is a pretty heavy-duty tank, and Russian drone took it out. So I think tanks are on the
well,
bye butterfly list.
I think that Ukraine is fighting with one hand behind their back because they won't give them all of the different things
They're
that's
two
necessary to
crooked
win.
countries. Nobody asked him, what about the $100 million that got stolen in Ukraine? Where's that investigation? They just swept it under the carpet.
Oh,
So-
Ukraine is notoriously corrupt.
Yeah, and
Notoriously corrupt.
and then you have all of the people that are coming into this country from all the other
Right.
countries that are doing the same thing. So that leads us into a brief discussion about the individuals that's in Minneapolis that stole like $1 billion, and nobody seems to be concerned about it, and it's taxpayer money. So you have a lot of fraud that's out there, and I will agree with certain individuals that you cannot judge a whole country or a whole ethnic group of people by the few that are fraud or that can figure out negative things.
Of course not.
Because you have a lot of people within this country that have been, their families may have been here for a couple of centuries, and just because you may have a few other people that look similar to them, not necessarily in their family, that happen to, kill somebody or they embezzle funds or something, that doesn't mean that everybody is doing it. It just means that those people did it. So I think what they need to do is, instead of labeling a whole ethnic group, is to try to figure out how to bring
Well,
those that are actually doing things.
You're absolutely right, but in this particular case, it's where the money wound up, okay? Where did the money go?
It went to the country they came
Exactly.
from.
All right, so that's why it's relevant. All
Right, but that doesn't mean that everybody, well,
It doesn't mean that every Somali is a bad person.
that's correct, and that's where I'm going. And that's kind of
Right.
like the same thing with,
Now, just a second,
Mm-hmm.
Sam, just a second. I've been dealing with immigrants since I was a little boy. And has anybody here seen an immigrant slap the daylights out of one of their kids? I have. I've seen immigrants slap the daylights out of her husband, slap the daylights out of the wife. It's just their way. That's where they came from. And when things get stressful, they just become themselves. They become Americanized after a few years,
Maybe.
but a crack across the face is not uncommon to see in an immigrant's household. Not uncommon at all.
it wasn't uncommon to see anything like that when I was growing up. It had nothing to do with
Exactly.
somebody that had just come into the country.
I got whacked all the time as a
So,
kid. Did you?
Is it okay
Yes.
now?
no,
So there you are at Target, and your grandson's acting up, and you give him a backhander right in the face. What's going to happen to you at Target, Evelyn?
well, I don't know. I don't do anything publicly anyway. I never did.
Sam,
We
what's going to
whisk them
happen to
away.
you publicly if you give your grandson a backhander at Target?
Somebody will report
Nothing
you for
unless
child
somebody
abuse.
turns me in.
That's right. Nothing happens.
Right.
The mall police will show up and say, Sam, we got that on video, baby.
There are more effective ways of disciplining a child than hitting them.
That's true, but it is a deterrent immediately.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. So,
But in the old country, that was the way of the world.
well, it's still the way in many
It-
things.
yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand too is that they don't want certain communities to establish themselves in this country and then have Sharia law, because there were in the past there was, like, for instance, there was one father that killed the daughter because there was something that she did that was for him unforgivable, and of course in this country that's murder.
It's called an honor killing.
And
okay?
then in his country, it
right.
isn't.
No.
And women are second class, third, fourth, fifth class citizens along with the children. And that's not something that we have tried to support in this country But it doesn't seem as though you have as many people trying to keep it out of other countries. So I don't want to get off on that tangent.
Well, the United States is not the only country that has been flooded with immigrants.
No, you can look at England.
And yeah, the
Like a million a year?
the Western
Really
European,
bad.
The Western European countries have the same problems.
And they have a lot more problems now
Right.
because there's so many of them, and they're creating their own system of government. So that being stated, there was another article on Google about the sinking of cities, and one is New York City. And,
Venice.
well, Venice has always been like that.
They've always been sinking.
So, I mean, they were built, that city was always water and canals. My oldest son went there for a out of major project from Worcester Polytech. And so he was in Venice for a summer.
Oh, I've been in Venice,
I
and it
have-
is sinking.
Yes, but anyway, New York City is sinking. But one of the things they said, even though they're talking about the oceans rising and all of this other stuff because of melted ice, which tells you you're at the end of an ice age, is the sheer fact that you have all these buildings that are very heavy, and they're pushing down on whatever it is, the bedrock, whatever it is that they're being, the foundations of which they're being built on. And part of this article also talked about the fact that most of the issues that are out there are made by humans. And part of the problem is the big cities sitting, and the question is whether or not that weight is this is my question, is that weight causing a lot of problems with the tectonic plates that's under there, and the earthquakes and a variety of other things. So it might be interesting to see what other research is being done. I know that in California they've built communities over all the fault
Well,
lines, which is stupid because if they open up, they're gone.
This is something that you never hear. I mean, people are quick to say, oh, well, disaster in these communities, natural disaster because of climate change. But a lot of the problem is that we have built in areas that nature never intended for us to build upon. And I think the best example I can give you is New Orleans. New Orleans is a city that was built below sea level. Why do you build below sea?
Well, how about the whole country of the Netherlands?
So when we have a storm and New Orleans gets flooded, New Orleans being below sea level, everyone is shocked and surprised. Well, you're below sea level. What are you doing building below sea level? You weren't supposed to do that, okay? So there are many places in the country that have been built upon, and it was never intended that anything should be built upon these areas because they are there in their natural state to absorb things like swells and floods and so forth. So in our infinite wisdom, we say, well, we're smarter than Mother Nature, so we come in with the backhoes and we fill it all in and we build on it.
Well, that's
and
Boston.
and then we have disaster and we wonder why.
But that's
okay?
Boston. You filled in the whole back
Exactly.
bay.
Okay, Blabbermouth. We have
Yeah.
6,000 texts. So if you want to start with these, Sam.
There's been corruption, dishonesty since the first cavemen traded a stick for a rock, and it'll never change. In other words, human nature, and that's exactly right. You can't change human nature. Part of Boar's Head is having problems with erosion, I've been told. Yep.
Start with the top.
Oh no, maybe COVID is coming back. Remember, wash your hands. Where did that come from?
Out of the clear blue.
Okay. The best part of the weather event on Tuesday was the gas weather trucks driving around, and then the next story was about global warming. Okay?
Next one.
It kind of sounds like when all the businesses left lovely Lowell.
And then you've got, I do not believe Healy runs the state. The governor of Massachusetts is a figurehead. The speaker has always called the shots around here. It's about time we start holding the speaker accountable with the cost of living in Massachusetts. And how about having
There is truth to that statement,
having them be able to audit what's going on in the state?
especially since the voters asked for it.
That's correct. And you have an attorney general, no, you have a state auditor who is trying to do that.
Yep.
And I give her an
Diane
awful lot of,
DeZoglio.
yeah, I give her a
I
lot of
voted
credit.
for her, actually. Yes.
I give her a lot of credit for trying to do what we would call
Yeah.
what is right, what is transparent, and so forth. And there was some article, I didn't write that down on my list, but I did send people an article that there is a company leaving Massachusetts to move into southern New Hampshire. And
A well-known company?
I didn't know anything about it, but the company, I think, is going to locate in the Salem area. And when I sent it, because of what kind of a company it was, then of what they manufactured, because it wasn't something that we would use on a daily basis, but it would be something that other companies would use, like Lockheed Martin and so forth. And so
So
this
they're a supplier to other industries.
this manufacturing company is going to move, and of course, that's part of it is because of taxes. But when I did that, one of my sons said Salem, New Hampshire is becoming more of a industrial, commercial mecca because of where it's located.
Right, good location.
Yes, so there's a lot up there, and the answer is yes. There's a lot of stuff in Rockingham, too, along
That's
there.
where Methuen missed the boat because of sales tax. And the government would do well to have every community within 10 miles of the border be sales tax free. And we would have a golden rim around the state.
Can't do that.
You can
because
say
then
you can't do it.
that
Yes, you
moves.
can, Sam.
Politically,
You pass a
can't-
law.
Politically, you can't do it
Pass a
because
law.
if they do that, then the state is admitting that the sales tax is a hindrance to business, and they will never do that.
Sam, I couldn't
won't
care
do it.
less. Right now,
They won't do it.
the Titanic is sinking.
I
Lady
get it,
Governor.
John. You and I
Lady
agree.
Governor.
We agree on this issue. What
And
I'm
state
telling you
reps, the
is,
state is sinking.
right,
If you don't want to plug the hole in
Yeah.
the Titanic, this state's going to sink.
you know a
But
lot
we
of,
don't want to
you
ignore
know
the
a lot
water
of
coming in.
politicians. You know a lot of politicians.
do.
All right. How many of them will say to you, gee, our tax policy is a mistake, we ought to do something different? Do you know anyone that'll say that to you?
Yes,
Who?
Rodney Elliott.
All right, okay, we'll give Mr. Elliott credit then, but he is very rare, especially as a Democrat, to have that kind of a
Well, I
feeling.
invite the governor
Yeah.
to take a ride up to Salem, New Hampshire,
It won't happen.
look at the economy up there and say, that should be Methuen.
Mhm.
But it's not.
Taxes,
Taxes are higher in Salem than they are in Methuen.
Yeah.
Real estate taxes.
but very few, Mr. Elliott being the exception, very few politicians will ever admit that taxing a business is a disincentive for people to buy. You will get very few people that will say that. Because
Well,
it's their
just think,
policy, you know, they
If
don't want to.
Manchester, if
yeah.
Manchester decided, you know what, we're not going to charge for luggage. You can bring up to 2 bags on any plane
Mhm.
that's taken off from the Sam Chase Airport in Nashua, New Hampshire. If you were going to fly down to Florida, no charge for your luggage.
Right.
People would switch off Logan in a heartbeat. They'll say, to save money.
Some would, absolutely.
Well, would you keep driving to Boston, or would you go to
It depends
Sam
on,
Chase Airport?
well, it's the overall cost. If the ticket is lower, well then, you know, I mean, there are other things. But all things being equal, no, I'd rather fly out of Manchester, absolutely.
There you go.
And-
Well, you can also fly out of Worcester, because
Well,
it's like
that-
nothing.
that's
No
limited.
free bags in Worcester.
Let
Free
me,
bags at Sam Chase Airport.
let me recommend an airport to fly out of, which is Providence. Okay?
It's too far away for me.
Oh, it's worth it, believe me. I mean,
I mean, Manchester's closer, and
but-
Worcester's 40 minutes. It's
Depends
like
on where
really
you're
close.
going.
So on a different
I
note,
recommend
Let's just zero into this for a second, Evelyn. Depends on where you're going. If you're going on a cruise, leave out of Boston. Because if your flight is canceled in Providence, it's a see you tomorrow deal.
Well, that's true.
And if your if your flight is canceled in Manchester, it's a see you tomorrow deal. By that I mean, you got to fly to Florida today to get on the cruise ship. And they tell you right at the gate, your flight's canceled. You can't go till tomorrow. Now in Boston, you have a pretty good hope that you can walk up to the gate agent and they'll say, yeah, go over to Thoren Airlines. They'll get you down there
Yeah,
today.
that's a good point.
so I did lock the door. I didn't see your text. I just sent that to you. There was several other things out there just as a comment, we have about 10 minutes left in this particular hour. One of them is the drug boat thing, and the latest would be that whatever they did the first time, it must not have, according to the admiral, that they kept going with the boat. So they must have decided
Well,
that they didn't destroy it.
None of us were there, were we?
Well, no, and
All right.
it's all second guessing and everything's under
Exactly.
oath. So if indeed they were continuing on their trek wherever they were headed, then that's why they went back in there. So
Let me-
we'll see whether or not that's true or not
Let me
true.
address one issue that's related to that bothers me. Okay, so I read online and people say, well, targeting these boats, these incoming drug boats, it's illegal, and the military should not follow the order. Well, there are two issues here. Number one is what you believe, and the other is the fact, okay? Once it is declared that these drug people are terrorists, then they're fair game. Now, you can have a discussion as to whether or not they should have been declared terrorists, but that's a different discussion. But once they are declared terrorists, they can be killed on sight, okay? So let's get that straight. And I've seen the argument, well, they shouldn't be declared terrorists. Okay, that's a different discussion. Happy to have that. But it is not illegal to do what is being done. That's my point, because they are declared terrorists, okay? So that discussion, in my opinion, should be off the table. There's plenty of people out there that would say, well, they never should have been declared terrorists. Again, that's fine, we can have that discussion. But once that's been done, they're fair game, okay? And I think that's a very important distinction that a lot of people aren't understanding, you know?
Well, I think there's a lot of stuff people don't understand
No.
because they're looking at it more from a political
It's
standpoint.
a political bias,
than-
okay?
Yes, then trying to
Right.
say what are the facts and what's the who's the authority, who's doing what,
Right.
one of those kind of things. So
If the
Okay, let
Supreme-
me just remind everybody. Do you ever watch the movie Saving Private Ryan?
Yes,
no,
yes.
Okay, so Saving Private Ryan, early on, they capture this German soldier. And the German soldier pleads for his life. And they said, he's got no gun, what the heck? Let him go. Let him walk back to Germany. He walks back, regroups with the German troops, tracks down the people who let him go, and murders one of the people who let him go. That's why, kill him, baby, kill him.
well,
That's watching Private Ryan. It's war. If you let these people go, they're just going to bring more drugs back. Who's to say they don't have bombs on them already? Who's to say they're going to? Okay, so we have our super jumpers jump in the water to save them. The scuba guys, the SEAL team, they jump in the water to save these two clowns, and they blow up our Navy SEALs. What do we do now for the bleeding liberals? Are you going to have a crying ceremony now?
No, because
we shouldn't have done that.
Judge,
I say kill them.
right?
Goodbye.
Their priorities are very different.
They're terrorists.
Because,
okay? They're terrorists.
when someone is killed in this country by an illegal alien or a migrant or whatever you would like to call the individual, you don't seem to have too much outcry. But when you have, like, Charlie Kirk get killed, or you have the president try to get assassinated, or you have the little boy that got run over wherever that was in Chicago, or whatever it is, or you have women that are raped and then beat to death, in Central Park, there's no outcry by the Democrats, or at least I will use that.
The sore
generally
losers,
speaking.
you mean? Call them what they are, sore losers.
Well,
all this stuff happened.
Their priorities are very much strange to me.
When they struck and killed Osama bin Laden, what was he doing when that happened?
Sleeping, I think.
I don't know, he's with
Was
his
he,
wife.
at that point, was he posing any threat to anybody?
At the moment that we killed him, no.
All right.
He was in captivity.
But was it justified to kill him?
He was condemned in a trial.
He was a terrorist. That's my point.
He was
Once you are designated a terrorist,
He was condemned to
if
the
you're
trial.
standing there, you can be killed,
Sam, he
okay?
was condemned to the trial and instantly executed.
Yeah.
Perfect performance. They just,
What's,
so Sam, can you see them?
no,
Well-
you gotta go a little bit more to the right.
There you go. For some reason, the people at the State House say an audit is political.
Of course it is.
Okay, are these
Because the-
mostly peaceful bombings of the drug boats?
Peaceful?
What is a peaceful bombing? Do you know what a peaceful bombing is? I don't know what a peaceful bombing is. I thought the orange guy was ending all wars on day one.
Well, we can define what war is. You can
Yeah.
have a war on drugs because we've
You
had
can
that for
have
the
a
past
war-
45 years.
You can have a war
at least.
you're missing the point. These people are legally designated terrorists, okay? It's a different situation. They're not just combatants in a war, they're terrorists. It's a different legal standard.
Okay,
Can
and
you
so,
read my fan club, please?
and so the other piece with the ending all wars, you
Can
have to think
see
about
that?
how
Is
many
that up
wars.
there? Yeah, it is up there. Read my fan club.
Can I
On what?
finish my comment?
Go ahead.
No, it was up there long before.
Oh, on one breath, the government kills people on boats with drugs and then sells drugs legally.
No, you're spot on, Mr. McDonough. It's my fan club.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
That's big
Jeekers
enough, you can see
crow.
that.
Jeekers crow, Ev. Okay, now Sam, read that one.
On
And then-
one breath, the government kills people on boats with drugs and then sells drugs legally.
Good point.
No.
There'll be an ad for a super drug.
Well, the other thing is that they're getting the boats that's coming in on all the water, but now they have the motorcycles and all the other stuff coming across our northern border. It's not going to stop because there's a
No.
lot of money in it.
They
And
just-
that's why the guy in Venezuela isn't going to
They find
drop
another way.
either.
They find
Now, one of
another
the
way.
things I thought was very interesting, I saw an article on Venezuela that there's a lot of
situation.
arsenic in the water in different areas, and they say it only affects 4 million people out of 45 million, but
That's a lot of people.
but let's be cautious about this. It grows. So I thought that was interesting because their water,
Did they say why there's arsenic in the water?
yeah, it's naturally occurring, and when you have droughts, it becomes highly concentrated. The other thing is that you also have around the world, there's different things that some countries or companies are selling, and they're high in arsenic. They may be high in PFAS. They may be high in a number of other things because they can't sell them like in this
Everything's
country.
high in PFAPs now.
Well, that's because of how they're measuring it. So
That's little
you
bits
just
of
have to be
plastic in
cautious
your
about all
water.
of that stuff. So on a lighter note, and by the way, I told you I locked the door. I didn't get your text message.
Yeah, I'll text her.
Yep, and so there were 3 articles that I sent to you guys on a light note. And that is, one of them is M&Ms have changed. They still have the red and green M&Ms for Christmas, but they also have blue and white. So in the article,
There's something wrong with a white M&M. I'm
Why?
sorry. I don't know, because they're not supposed to be white.
well, white is a color.
I get it, but they're not supposed to be white.
White M&Ms?
Yeah,
I
no,
don't really care. There's chocolate underneath it.
no.
And then there was one that had
Well, it's
the
candy treat season. I mean, I got some
Can't have white M&Ms.
delicious little Reese's peanut butter cups yesterday.
Oh, my
yeah, well, see,
favorite.
I don't like
They
those.
have Oreos built into them.
Oh my! Together? You have it all together?
My granddaughter,
Well, when you're on your way out in the kitchen,
Yeah.
if you stand at the sink to the right-hand side, there's a bowl of candy there. Try a couple.
my granddaughter made Thanksgiving.
They're baby ones. They're not
My,
big.
my granddaughter made Thanksgiving turkeys out of Oreos and Reese's peanut butter cups. And they looked like turkeys, and they were delicious. That combination of an Oreo, and I'm not an Oreo person, but the combination of the Oreo and the Reese's peanut butter cup is really outstanding, okay? Am I wrong? It's delicious.
Everything's delicious, but I would prefer. This time of year, I prefer the Santa Claus Reese's peanut butter cups. They come with Santa Claus made.
I don't think I've seen those.
no, I haven't seen those
Sometimes
either.
they'll have a bag of Christmas ornaments. One of them would be Santa Claus, Christmas trees, and those go down so nicely.
Yeah, I don't
Should
eat
you
any of that
spot them?
stuff.
There's nothing like a Reese's peanut
And they
butter
look smaller than a Reese's peanut butter cup. So
Well, you can get them in different sizes, the Reese's. My wife got some that are like this big. I mean, they're quite large.
You have bite size, and then you
Yeah.
have
Right.
mouth size.
There's no such thing as a bad Reese's peanut butter.
Oh, I agree.
Some are bigger than others, but
See,
Absolutely
I'm
right.
not into any
They all
of that.
taste the same, regardless of the
I'm
size.
very cautious
we
about.
didn't know you were turning communist, Evelyn.
Well, no, I
When
like
did this
M&Ms. That's
happen?
why I brought up the M&Ms. That's my all-time favorite. The other one was that there's a limited edition Hershey Kisses that taste like Snickerdoodles. And
Ooh.
so that was out there. I
That
thought
would
that
be
was kind of,
interesting.
those are
Yeah.
Hershey Kisses.
Like to try those.
And then the limited, you have a limited edition M&Ms, which are peanuts, but there's other stuff in them this year. So you have not just peanut M&Ms
No
with
arsenic,
peanuts
though, right?
and chocolate. Now I'll eat that. I don't like the peanut butter part. I like the crunchy part.
You don't like peanut butter?
Yes, I love peanut butter, but I don't want to put chocolate with it.
Oh,
And
well, then you don't like Reese's peanut.
no, I don't. I can't. I
Oh,
was saying that. People
okay.
weren't paying attention.
You're right, I
Um,
didn't hear that.
So they said that you have the holiday peanut M&Ms, and there's some other flavors that are in there, and there's a whole analysis on what it is that they have. There's flavors of cinnamon, vanilla, spice sugar, and caramel in these new particular M&M peanuts. So I thought that might be kind of an interesting thing to be able to, let everybody know about all of that stuff.
But you're right about the Christmas M&Ms with the red and white and so forth.
Yeah, and the new winter mix is blue and white with the M&Ms. So we are coming up to the 7 o'clock mark, and we're waiting for our guest to show up, which is fine. We have a number of legal things we're going to talk about. She
Oh.
wants to talk about.
Legal things?
Yep.
What are we going to talk about legal
I don't know.
things?
She wanted to talk about liens. I want to talk about revocable and irrevocable trusts.
All kinds of good stuff, and we'll be back. Thank you.
Welcome back to City Life. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I am your host for the next 57 minutes, maybe. Sam Chase is my co-host this morning, and we have John McDonough behind the scenes, sometimes on the camera. You'll hear his voice in the background. And our guest this morning is Attorney Sandra Meneses. Meneses. I'll get it straight one.
I want to back
Sorry.
I want to back the bus up to the text.
That's okay. People don't know how to pronounce my last name, and it's simple.
It's okay.
So, the best commercial on TV, the M&M people, that's from Jay.
I talked about M&Ms in the first.
And the
This
Kit
new one's
Kat
I like
get
the
no
M&Ms
respect here today. Yeah, well, Kit Kat, they do a Santa Claus to Kit Kat.
Yeah.
They
But
need
what
to
was
do
you-
something different. They don't seem to have too much creativity with that particular brand of candy.
Kit Kat, they just made Santa Claus.
They did?
Oh, yeah.
It's basically a cookie, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah, but-
no, it's a cookie with chocolate and
Right.
caramel in it.
So, what would you say is the best commercial on TV right now, Evelyn?
I don't know. I haven't been watching much TV.
Okay, Sam?
I don't watch that much.
Right, and I'm not evaluating
Sandra?
commercials.
Yeah.
No, I don't really know. I don't really watch much TV either.
Okay, I will tell you,
How do
the
you
best
like that?
TV,
All
best
three of us
commercial on
agree
TV
on
right
that.
now
I
is
do
the
like M&M.
kiddo who has cancer, he's bald. He asked a girl who has cancer to the ball. Exquisite commercial.
Maybe that was on Facebook. Somebody had put it up there
it's
too.
on TV.
I know, but some people repeat this stuff on
My
Facebook.
wife likes the three old ladies going down the hill on the slide, but she likes that commercial. So back over, you guys can take over the show, please.
Oh,
Thank you.
gee, thank you. There's a lot of stuff out there to talk about. When we were talking about M&Ms, just to let you know, there are 3 or 4 new candies that are limited editions.
Oh, really? Which ones are they?
Well, M&M has its traditional red and green M&M, and then it also created the blue and white ones,
Oh,
which is not necessarily for Hanukkah. They did it because of like Frozen, and then you can make all kinds of new things with them, in terms of cookies. So there is that. Then Hershey Kisses are snickerdoodles.
oh, I think I've seen those. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
and
I
so-
would like to try.
And
Yes.
and that was one of the first cookies I ever made with my kids, was a snickerdoodle, because they could have hands on, to roll it in
yeah.
the ball and then roll it in the sugar and then press it down. So I mean, they started at like 2 and 3 to cook with me. And then the other one was the chocolate covered peanuts of the M&Ms, because they've added different spices, vanilla and cinnamon and different things to whatever is surrounding the peanut.
Oh.
So that's another limited edition. So it'll be kind of interesting. I'm not sure whether or not I buy that. I don't buy too much candy. I eat dark chocolate.
Oh, that's my favorite dark chocolate.
Right. Or I make my own candy with dark chocolate.
Oh, nice.
So maybe one of these days I'll make a whole pile of stuff when you're coming in. You can take a little bit of everything. So there's a lot of different things. I mean, you had a list of things that you wanted to talk about today. I sent you a few articles that I saw, which
Yes.
are some of which are related to
Yes.
what it was that you wanted to talk about. John, I sent you via text and also on Messenger, and it had to do with the pros and cons of trusts, irrevocable and revocable trusts, and I think one of your topics at the end of your list was
Yes, was irrevocable.
trust.
Can we, before we,
text before we get too
Yeah.
down the road.
There are so many drug commercials on TV, it's hard to find a funny commercial. That's for sure.
that's true.
Well, the
Before-
reason for all the drug commercials, they want to keep the TV stations away from inspecting the drug companies. That's why all these ads are out there.
Before we get into your list, Sandra, could you just, for the audience and my own information as well, could you just give us a little brief biographical sketch, maybe a little bit of your background and your concentration on the type of law that you practice?
Sure. So my office is in Lowell. It's right on 438 Central Street in Lowell. I grew up in the back central area. I've been specializing in real estate, both residential and commercial, and estate planning.
Okay.
I've done other things in the past, but
And how long have you been a member of the bar?
I would say about 21 years.
Okay, good.
It's been a while. Time flies.
You've had some experience.
Yeah, so I've
Good.
had some experience in other areas, yes. I've just been trying to kind of limit it and concentrate on just a few.
And you do have a husband and 2 daughters?
Yes, I do. I have 2 daughters, 17 now. She just turned 17, my oldest, and a 15-year-old.
You
Yes,
got your hands full.
Teenagers are wonderful,
Yes.
especially girls.
I know.
Yeah, I had boys, so, and I had all three. Well, they were only 5 years apart, so it was kind of interesting. to
I had
have all
the
three.
girls, so I know.
Yep.
No. How many girls do you have?
2, of course, they're grown now, they're in their 40s, and
Yeah.
then I have 3 grandchildren.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
How old?
Charlotte is 12, Violet is 11, and Payson is 8, soon to be 9.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
Those are nice
good
ages.
age, good
Yeah,
age.
they're good ages.
Anyway, we all have grandchildren. You don't yet.
Not yet.
At least as far as you know, you don't have any.
No, looking forward to it someday, though.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
nothing like it.
I know.
I never tried to push my children to have their own children.
Mhm.
It was like, take your time. However, I decided to have children 5 years sooner than my mother did, to think that I would be a younger grandmother.
Oh.
Except that when my children had children, it placed me at roughly the same age as my mother, because they waited to have them, and that's fine. I don't care. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still on my track to doing odds and ends of things.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm in the rocking chair doing nothing.
No,
And so
you're active.
right.
So let's get to your
Well, she has the list, and
discussion here.
so one of the things that was on her list was the trusts.
Yeah, they're irrevocable. So one of the things was the email you had, the text you had sent me was like the pros and cons of revocable and irrevocable trusts. I don't know, and there was a whole bunch of stuff that went down the list, which I wrote down some of it just so we could go over it. So one of the first questions was when they're commonly used, right? So a revocable trust is commonly used to avoid probate and to protect your assets for your loved ones. An irrevocable trust is mostly used for asset protection. If you want to protect your assets, your nursing home, and anything else you might have, not your nursing home, if you want to protect your assets like your home and any other things you might have from the nursing home, meaning Mass Health.
Right. And if you are in a different state, every state has something similar to Mass Health.
Yeah.
Because it's a federal program, and the state implements the federal program. And if you think at one point that you might end up in a nursing home, make sure that you keep 5 years of your records, your financial records. And so that's what I've done to a certain extent, is to keep 5 years. And when the next year comes up, then I get rid of the oldest year. So it's always up to date in case they need it in order to apply for Mass Health. Mass Health is when you kind of run out of money that you can't pay for a long-term care.
Right.
You also have like 100 days, I think, out of Medicare anyway, that you can be in one, but that would count with rehab, it would count with hospital stays. You know, there's a certain amount that insurance will also pay for. It may not pay for all of it, but it is paying a good portion of it.
Right.
And so hopefully nobody out there ever has to go into a long-term care facility. But my mother is in one. But she's 104 and a half.
That's great.
And she's
Amazing.
probably in better shape than most of the people in the facility that she's in and other facilities that I'm familiar with. And it was interesting when I visited her yesterday, because I'm 74, and there are people there younger than me. Because it depends on what, people can have strokes, they can have heart attacks. Sometimes they use long-term care as a physical, they have physical therapy areas. There's, different kinds of things that you can use them for, and then you could go home, or you could go to someplace else. But the thing with irrevocable trust is that you need a trustee. You need somebody that you can trust.
Right.
Trustee. Okay, so. But my question is, when you have one, do you have to put everything in it? That's all your assets, or can you leave assets out of it?
You can leave assets out of it. You only put in it what you want, and you can put assets now and then put some assets later. The only thing is, if you create an irrevocable trust and you don't put anything in it, then you basically have no protection. So you have to at least fund the trust.
Yes.
Yes.
And you can set it up. Most people have revocable trust because they want the control over everything.
Exactly, yeah, because once you do an irrevocable trust, you relinquish control, and that's what people don't like sometimes, is the fact that they have to appoint a different trustee and relinquish control of their assets. Because once you do the irrevocable trust, you can't just change it. You basically have to, the beneficiaries have to agree, or you have to petition the court.
So you couldn't, if I had an irrevocable trust and I had my son as the trustee,
Mhm.
and I wanted to change something, I can't say to him, can you change this? You have to go to the court system to change it?
Yeah, like if you want to change a beneficiary, you'd have to go to the court to do it. They don't let you just change it.
So it's not like a will.
No, it's not like a will.
Well, words mean things. Irrevocable means something.
Yeah, it means you can't, it means you can't
know?
revoke it, yeah.
Exactly, okay, so, right.
But if you wanted to change the irrevocable to revocable, you could go to the court and have that done if you have good enough reasons and a good lawyer.
Yeah.
And you have the agreement, you have all your ducks in a row
Right.
to do so. You can undo it, but you have to go through an awful lot, jump through a lot of hoops to be able to do that.
Right. The other option would be to take your assets out of the irrevocable trust and put them in a revocable trust. But the reason you put them in the irrevocable is kind of just start the 5-year look-back period. So once you take them out, you stop the 5-year look-back period. So
Yeah.
if you took them out, put them in revocable, then decide, oh, I want back an irrevocable, then you kind of relaunch the clock.
So there are specific reasons why you may want to set up an irrevocable trust,
Right.
okay? And then there are specific reasons for setting up a revocable. And from what you just said, it sounds to me like, it's sort of an ongoing managed process. Is that a fair statement to make? So in
Yes.
other words, your circumstances might change over time to cause you to want to do something different.
They could, yeah. But a lot of people that do the irrevocable trust, it's really because they're older and that's their goal, is because they're worried about mass health. But if you do an irrevocable trust, the only thing is, I think your tax bracket, now the trust is being taxed. So if you do an irrevocable trust, you got to get a tax number, and then it's taxed as a trust. There's recent case law that says basically the grantor can file income taxes under his name, or they can have the ability to change a trustee. So that's new case law that they can put that language in there. But otherwise, the irrevocable trust has to have a separate tax ID number. And then the revocable trust, that usually goes in the grantor social.
Which is different, as far as taxes go.
Yeah, it's different, because it's under your social, it's basically it's your personal income tax.
And we had a family friend, and if he was living, he'd be 105. Created.
What are you guys drinking?
Whatever it is, it works.
Yeah.
Created an irrevocable trust because
There we go.
his daughter was going to get divorced, and he wanted to protect the money from the person accessing any of her inheritance.
So we create an irrevocable?
That's correct.
Okay.
So that was one of the other reasons, is divorce. You have
Right.
to watch.
Well, I had a friend of mine thinking that she wanted to get on Mass Health. She transferred all of her property to her only son. The only thing she forgot to ask the son was, how stable is your marriage? They got divorced.
Good point.
And she got kicked out of her own house because she didn't ask the son, how stable is your marriage?
Well, we'll see how this all goes. Everybody's.
You got to be careful. You
I
got to,
can't
and you
see
just, and if your kiddo's not being honest, well, everything's going great. We love each other.
Right, because that's an issue. Like, some people think, oh, we'll just do a new deed and add my kid's name to the trust, do a joint deed with rights of survivorship. The only thing is, if basically your son or daughter does get divorced, then the spouse has a right to that house, because technically he's part owner. And if they want to lien the assets of your children because they owe debt or put an execution on, they can, because he's part owner of that home. And the other thing is, if you decide to sell it, then you're each claiming income taxes and basically capital gains. That's the other thing. And then, for instance, if you put a deed and put it in your name and your two kids' names, and then you decide to sell the home while you're in a nursing home, then the nursing home's still going to get your share.
Hey, this
Yes,
graphic you sent me, where is the original? This is too blurry. Can't read it.
Did you access that off of,
I accessed what you sent me.
I know that, but I sent one on Messenger and I sent one on,
Where did you get it from?
I think I got it from Facebook.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's, as you say, there's pros and cons as far as how you would change things.
Right.
My uncle was 90, and his wife had died, so my mother was in her 80s, mid-80s. They wanted to change some things to make it easier, and so the lawyer said, why don't you just put everybody's name on the deed? So because of the ages that everybody was at, my uncle just wanted to put it in my mother's name with his name, so she would get everything, and the lawyer said, well, what if she predeceases him? Little did we know that she was going to live another 8 years after him. But, so they decided that, my uncle said, well, if we're going to do that, we're just going to put everybody's name on the deed. But they did it like right of survivorship, so that if somebody dies, then the percentage gets higher for those that live. And Mass Health can't touch it.
Right.
Because it's as if he never existed.
Yeah.
When they did that, my sister was in the process of something, and so she said, keep my name off of it. It will screw things up. So my name was on it, my parents' name was on it, my uncle dies, Mass Health put a lien on the property, and then because the way the deed was, we didn't have to pay. I think it was like $38,000 or $40,000. My mother had to do all of that stuff because she was the executrix of the estate. So then I tried to talk them into doing something similar with their house, thinking that they would predecease my sister and myself, which didn't happen. My father did, but my mother's still living. So in selling the house, to your point,
Yes.
my mother gets her third, my sister and I get the other, but we have to pay capital gains. Then you have to calculate a stepped up value of the house.
Right.
This was their original house bought in the 50s. And they didn't do that many improvements, but we had a whole list of different things that we used, and, we had to go to an accountant to...
You have to adjust your cost basis, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Right, and so it was really crazy, because we had to also do that with my uncle's house. But when my uncle died, then my mother wanted the house sold. So then they had to do what I had to do, and so it became... It's not a nightmare, it's just a lot of paperwork that you have to do.
Right.
But in order to protect from Mass Health, my mother would not do an irrevocable trust, because she needed to maintain control.
Right.
And so she basically went through all the money, and because she's in a nursing home. So there's a whole, but it was her money to begin with.
Right.
I'm just saying that there's pros and cons with the decisions that you make, and you have to think about
There
it.
is, yeah.
But my mother wouldn't do it until my sister and I were in our 60s. There was less likelihood that, as you said, there may be problems with children if they're younger, and they get into some kind of an issue or
Right.
trouble with the law or any number of things. You could also lose, and they could take you to court and force you to sell the house.
Right.
So there's a lot of things to take into consideration when you're doing all of this stuff.
And the best advice you can get is, don't try to do this stuff yourself, okay? You need to hire an experienced professional attorney like Sandra, somebody who has specialized in this area of the law, because it's very complicated. I'm not a lawyer, but I am an accountant, so I have some knowledge of how this stuff works, and I can tell you, don't try to do it yourself, okay?
Now is Evelyn's favorite part
Right.
of the show.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
We have our announcements. Now, today at the Senior Center in Tewksbury and Drake, it is December 4th. Now, in Tewksbury and Drake, you got to register the week before.
Shepherd's pie.
So if you were lucky enough to register last week for this, you'd be having shepherd's pie, ground beef, gravy, mashed potatoes, biscuit, fruit cup, a real yummy thing. And you got to register a week before, because they send just enough food for those who have ordered the food. They don't like to waste food, that's why they do it. So just be in touch with the Drake at Senior Center, you can call them up, or the Tewksbury Senior Center, call them up, and it's both the Meals on Wheels program that they use, or how do I get how can I get my lunch there, and they'll be happy to hook you up for lunch. Moving right along to Chelmsford. Now, Chelmsford, you walk in. So today is the 4th. So today out in the Chelmsford Senior Center for $2, or whatever your donation might be, sloppy joes, tater tots, coleslaw, and peaches. Moving into Lowell. Lowell is proud to have lunch 7 days a week. Look at this kielbasa on Sunday. Okay, so today we have lean pork and loin, but tomorrow fish, shepherd's pie on Saturday, kielbasa on Sunday. Yummy, yummy time at the Lowell Senior Center, 7 days a week. Sam Meese. Sam Meese is having a party tonight, at the Dream Diner. And just go over there and shake his hand, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Meet and greet Sam S. Meese for State Senate. And he's going to be at the Dream Diner, 384 Middlesex Road out in Tingsboro. Stevie Pinagiatakis is having a party to benefit all the kiddos and bring an unwrapped toy down to the Blue Shamrock this Friday, December 5th, tomorrow. Bring it tomorrow. Or you can bring a check and make it out to, I don't know who you make the check out to, but
Probably the Sun Santa Fund.
yeah, make the check out to Sun Santa Fund. Bring that down there, and he'll be happy to get it in good hands. But that's tomorrow, down at the Blue Shamrock. Very kind of them to do that. See if this text is related to that. No, okay. Moving right along here, the Holiday Fair at St. Michael's Parish is this Saturday, 10 to 3 p.m. Free admission, free parking all around St. Michael's Church. That's over in Centerville, big brick church off Bridge Street. And they're going to have a ton of stuff there. It's always a good time. Free to get in there. If you have any questions, call Pauline. Her phone number's right over here. And she'll be happy to help you out with that. But that's tomorrow. And it's, that's Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And good time to be had by all. Out in Tewksbury on December 6th, they're going to have, what day is December 6th? That is Saturday. Saturday as well. So this Saturday, this is a gigantic fair. It takes up, they have a school there, and they take up almost the whole school with different tables, and there's food there. And I've always, lots of smiles, lots of good Christmassy stuff to buy there. Good take to be had by all. The Christmas fair this Saturday at from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at St. William's School, right next to St. William's Church out in Tewksbury. The holiday prelude in Chelmsford is Sunday the 7th, from 4 to 6 p.m. Tree lighting in Town Center. It's free. They might have free hot chocolate there. I forget what Vivian said.
Yes.
So we're going to have free hot chocolate there. Lots of smiles to be had, and that's going to be this Sunday from 4 to 6 in Chelmsford Town Center. Coming up at the Immaculate Conception Church this Sunday, December 7th, they're going to have these people singing in the church. New England tenors, special guest soprano Celeste Pellegrino, and good time. So you need to call or text this guy, Mike Fay. Just tell him you're going. It's free. So, but just got to text this guy here. Take your phone over to the TV set, take a picture of this guy's number, Mike Fay, and just text him that you plan on coming. They're just looking for a number for seating. And Rodney Elliott's having a party on Thursday, December 11th, next week at the Worthen House Cafe. And that's going to be, what's the time? 5:30 to 7 p.m. next Thursday, a week from today. And holiday dinner sponsored by the Friends of the Elderly at the Tewksbury Senior Center. It'd be good grub from 6 to 10 p.m. Wow. $25 a ticket includes dinner and dancing. And they have a great crowd out there. The food's always good at the Tewksbury Senior Center, so that's going to be December 12th, 6 to 10 p.m., $25 a ticket. So just call the Tewksbury Senior Center for more information. Pints for a Purpose. come grab a pint and help us spread cheer. 10,000 for 100 families starts with you. Saturday, December 13th, 12 to 4 p.m. at the Old Court, 29 Central Street. Music courtesy of Paul Belay and Chris Brunel. Food live auction at 2:30. And good time to be had by y'all. And it's hosted by Danny Rourke, Chris Dick, Danielle McFadden. So hope to see you down there. Looks like a good time to be had by y'all. And Evelyn will be tickled pink. That's my last announcement. But I do have one text. Your story, Mr. McDonough, is there another reason not to get married? Now that prompts the question, palimony. Now, out in California, you don't have to be married. The person you're living with, you decide to split up, they have certain rights to your dough. So how does that carry in Massachusetts? If we're not, if I'm not married to my wife, and I decide that I'm going elsewhere, do I have to give her some of my dough? We're not married. We've just been living together for a long time.
You wouldn't get any. There's no common law marriage in Massachusetts. What I'm assuming, which I believe there still is common law marriage in California. So, because they were together so long, they probably deemed they were married, and that's
We're
why
talking
they had-
Massachusetts only, not California, only Mass.
Only Mass? Oh, no common law marriage in Massachusetts.
Most states do not have common
So
law marriage.
she gets nothing.
She gets
Right.
nothing.
Unless her name's on stuff.
Right. Unless you own something jointly with her, then that's a different story. Like if you decide to buy a house together, or you put two names on a bank account,
This is a real backwards
but if
system.
not, no.
How
common
many
law.
people do you know have kids, not married?
Well,
How can this exist in Massachusetts in 2025?
Doesn't having children and you're not married and you decide to break up, isn't there something else going on legally? Because
This is old-time law, stupid. We got to get in this century.
You
Well-
could still get child support.
Yeah, old-time law would be common law marriage, which most states have abolished. There are very few states
Yeah.
that still have common law marriage.
No. Down in Mississippi,
Well, they may have it.
Down in
There are
Mississippi-
a few that have it.
the person you're next to, if they wake up and they've gone to heaven, you can have them cremated before supper time. And their kids will scream and yell, "Why did you do that to my dad?" Because she could.
That's,
That raises like another issue because, like
Yeah.
in Massachusetts, basically, if you don't have like a durable power of attorney or a healthcare proxy, just because someone's your boyfriend, even your husband, they can't just get you.
that's correct.
you have to have authority somehow.
Yeah, you have to have authority somewhere.
Authority is not, proof of authority is usually not presented. It's usually by word of mouth. So when
I
you
just
go to
went
the
through that
hospital,
with my brother who just died. We just went through that because he had no healthcare proxy or durable power of attorney in place. And it was a problem, okay? And fortunately, just before he died, we were able to get him to make that designation. But before that,
Yeah.
it
well,
was,
I tell you, every
it was a
funeral home
problem.
in the state will not ask you for a marriage license. You can just say, "He was my husband," and we're going to write down you're married to him. We got no proof.
well,
That
Can
happens
you
a
be
lot.
sued?
You can get sued for, late great George Anthes, you can get sued for anything. Same thing at the hospital. You go in the hospital and you just say, "Oh, that's my wife." They don't say, "Where's the marriage certificate?" They just write down married.
Many times what they do is they do ask for a health proxy.
Yeah,
Only one
and
time I
you
have
can
have
get
I
all
ever
that.
been asked for my ID, and that was for a deposition. Other than that, never.
So there's 9 states that recognize common
yeah,
law marriage.
that's it. It's not that,
Is Mississippi still there?
No.
California is though, right?
I don't think
no.
so.
No.
No.
Oh, not
Colorado, District of Columbia, Iowa,
anymore.
Kansas,
DC?
Montana, Rhode Island, Texas, Utah, and New Hampshire. New Hampshire
Hampshire?
recognizes common law marriage for inheritance purposes only. I could tell somebody that I know that because I've been
Not
bugging
for
her to get her
divorce.
name on things.
So
Not
for
for divorce.
inheritance purposes, okay.
So what is the criteria? I mean, how long do you have to be together and hold yourself out
Well,
publicly?
now we have
as-
to, you gotta,
Okay, because
gotta
that's the
find out what the
standard for
details
common law
are.
Yeah,
marriage.
it
You have
is.
to hold yourself out publicly as together in a couple.
Yeah.
So what is the time criteria?
I think
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
looking to see if they tell me that.
Because you'd still have to petition a court and prove you're common law married.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
So
And
there's
I'm looking
criteria
to
that
see.
have to be observed there.
Right.
So it says District of Columbia, but then it says Washington does not recognize common law marriage.
They mean
Washington
Washington
State?
State, maybe?
I don't know. Washington D.C. states that a common law marriage is a marriage that is legally, then I gotta figure out what this says.
Now, here's
It's,
a fun fact. Benjamin Franklin and his wife, that was a common law marriage,
Oh,
okay? They were never formally,
So if anybody's interested in any of this stuff, you gotta look up each individual state
Right.
and what it is.
'cause they probably
Better
have
off if
specific
you-
criteria that kind of just a little different.
Iowa
Yeah,
recognized common law marriages, which are marriages between two people that don't have a formal marriage ceremony. That's weird.
If you're living with your arm charm, make sure your name's on the house, because you're not gonna get it. Okay, I found this graphic, Evelyn, this might be helpful, revocable versus irrevocable trust. You're looking at your phone.
Yes, I can see what you're looking at. I was finishing with what I was doing, because it was,
Alrighty, no,
see if there was any other information.
so the bottom line is that each individual situation may be different, which is why you have to consult an experienced attorney to decide which is better for your particular situation. One size does not fit all. Is that a good
It's-
statement?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
So do we have any other information on trusts that we want to talk about?
I think.
I think every time you've been here, we've talked about this.
We have, yes. So I don't know if you want to talk about something, maybe 7 things that everybody should have in their estate plan.
Here we
or-
go.
Yes.
Good.
That's a good segue into that, and then I know you have some other things. I think I sent you an article about what documents you should have.
Yes.
Yes, so I'll leave it up to you to
Okay.
tell us.
So one of the documents you should have is a last will and testament, which designates your beneficiaries, which is who you want your assets to go to, and who you want an executor to be of your estate, which now an executor is referred to as a personal representative, because Mass adopted the Massachusetts Uniform Code, probate code, so a few years ago. So that's one of the first documents. And the other thing you can do in a will is you can have a testamentary trust and you can name guardians of your kids. Because that would be the way to do it, is to do it in your will. And then in order to avoid probate, you should have some type of living trust, which is usually considered a revocable trust. So nowadays, like in a revocable trust, you can also provide for asset protection, which is something you want to keep in mind. So you can say that you want the funds to be used for your kids' education, that it cannot be used, but it cannot be attached by creditors, and that if they get divorced, then they get nothing. And then also, the other thing you can say, like, is any of the beneficiaries can relinquish what they're receiving. So basically, if they know it's going to go to a creditor or somewhere you wouldn't want it to go, they can say, no, I don't want it. That's something else you can put in a trust. And then the other thing you want to have is a durable power of attorney. So the durable power of attorney covers all financial matters. So it gives your attorney, in fact, the ability to pay all your bills, run your businesses, do anything you need them to do financially if you're incapacitated. So just keep in mind, the durable power of attorney will come into effect while you're incapacitated, and then after your death, the last will and testament and trust would take effect. And usually what we do is we do a pour-over will, which says any assets you have left over will go to the trust, and that way it still avoids probate. And then the other thing is the healthcare proxy. So the healthcare proxy covers all health matters. So it gives somebody the ability to make your healthcare decisions. And then there's the living will, which states whether or not you want to be on life support, what type of pain meds you want. And it gives somebody the ability to make that decision based on the doctor's advice. If the doctor were to say, oh, he's never going to live a normal life, he's going to live on life support the rest of his life, then whoever you designate as your proxy can decide to take you off of it. So when it comes to picking someone for your healthcare proxy or your living will, you want to make sure you pick someone that you can trust and someone that's good under pressure and dealing with medical doctors and asking questions and all that stuff. And the other thing is the HIPAA form, which the HIPAA form tells the doctors that they can release your medical records to a specific person. which is important. For instance, if someone's going to make your healthcare decisions, you do want them to be able to have access to your records if they want. And a lot of times, if you go to the doctor for a procedure, they have you fill out a HIPAA form, but it's good to always have your own anyway. And then the next thing is you want to make sure that you have beneficiary designations on all your investments, like 401ks, life insurance, IRAs, because what will happen is that stuff falls outside of the will. So the will or the trust typically don't have control of that. It falls outside of probate. So if your estate has to be probated or if there's estate recovery, those fall out. So basically, you want to make sure you have your beneficiary designated. You can always designate your trust if you wanted it to go to your trust and you wanted them to be designated as the beneficiary. The beneficiary is in your trust, then it could go to your trust. But it's important to have your beneficiaries designated, because if you don't, then it falls onto your estate. And then you'd have to probate the estate to divide the assets in your retirement accordingly.
Now, what about estate taxes? Because that keeps changing depending upon what administration we have in Washington, because they keep putting things in place. Currently in Massachusetts, there's thresholds or caps. So once you exceed that, then you pay a tax.
Yes, exactly.
Right. So what is that cap?
I believe it's 1 to 2 million. It's pretty high. It keeps changing, but it's
In
been
Mass,
so
I
high.
think it's 2 million.
2 million, yeah.
But that includes all assets. That's real
Correct.
estate,
Yes.
financial, the whole nine yards.
Yeah, it
So-
includes all the assets.
So now, if you have the cap, if it's at 2 million, then you pay no tax for the first 2 million, but you will pay a tax above that.
Right.
Is it graduated or is it flat?
I'm not sure if it's graduated or flat. I'd have to look into it.
I think it's flat.
I think it's
Yeah.
flat.
Yeah.
But it's so and do we know how much it is? Because capital gains is 15%,
Right.
isn't it? That's what we were doing when we sold the houses.
Yeah.
That sounds
So
right.
is it 15% on the inheritance? And that would be Massachusetts. Is there a federal inheritance tax?
Well, there's a federal level and then there's the Massachusetts level. So there's a cap at the federal and the Mass level.
There's different ceilings, though.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's different percentages. So my husband and I die.
Mm-hmm.
We have an estate of 3 million. Okay, the first 2 million in Massachusetts is free. That's distributed to beneficiaries. They don't have to pay anything because the estate is paying for whatever it is that they inherited. So they don't have to pay an income tax.
There's no tax.
So now we have $1 million. We're going to pay a tax on the million. So if it's 15%, you pay that, then you take that, whatever's left over, and you divide it up amongst the beneficiaries. But if it is a federal tax, you pay the 15% on the total, and then you pay another 15%, say, and that goes to the federal government. So now you're paying 30% of the million. Is that how that works?
It is, but you take once you do a trust, there's different ways that you can divide assets. Like your trustee can decide, oh, my husband died first. He's going to claim so much of these assets to meet the threshold, and then leave so much, and they'll be part of my remaining spouse's estate, and then they only pay tax on that.
Right.
So that's stuff you can put in a trust as well, because, for instance, if the threshold is 2 million, then your husband, if he passes first, can claim that as part of his estate, of his share, and then the rest would be yours. Or they can divide it. That way, it's a way to avoid estate taxes. So it's language that we include in a trust to protect your assets.
The tax is paid by the beneficiary, okay, which is what she's saying. So if you divide it up properly, you can avoid the tax altogether, even if the total value of the estate exceeds $2 million.
Right.
Okay, that's the way
that's
that works.
Yeah.
And then continue.
Sorry, so it's considered like the marital share, the non-marital share, and it's divided that way.
I'll have to look into more of this stuff so I can understand it a little bit better. And then there's if one spouse dies, the other spouse now is single head of household. And so they need to figure out, in terms of their income, now they're going to be paying more taxes on their income.
Right.
Because it's different than having a joint income tax.
Right, and I think the other issue that runs in there is like if there's retirement accounts and whether they have to do the distribution in 10 years or if it's a lifetime distribution, then the surviving spouse also has to claim that on their taxes. So you have to make sure that whatever distributions, you're better off to have a lifetime distribution because then they can withdraw as much as they want depending on their taxes and how much they're going to make that year. Because if you limit it to like a 10-year distribution, then it's going to kind of be equal and you have to
You
take
have
all
more-
of it out in 10 years.
Right, you have more income, more tax.
Yeah. So-
Right, exactly.
Because now you don't have another
So
deduction.
you have to consider the age of the person when you set
But a lot
that
of
up.
people don't think about it that way.
Right.
That was another article I think I sent you.
Right,
So I think it sort of covers the articles I sent you.
Yeah.
You were talking about liens.
right. Just one more thing in regards to the article. The other thing is, if you're married and your spouse is the beneficiary, I think that they can convert it into an investment for them as a way to avoid tax on a distribution, which depends what age they are too.
In other words, find a lawyer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right,
You've
so
got to
some-
get somebody who understands. It's very complicated. It's very complicated, okay?
It is,
And
yeah.
I used to do some of this stuff from an accounting perspective, and I would talk to attorneys who were, and sometimes the attorney would say, you know, this isn't easy stuff, right?
Right.
And it isn't. So you've really got to get professional guidance.
Right.
Stay away from these online, ask a lawyer type
That's a great
things,
advice, right.
because those things, forget it. That can wind
Yeah,
up.
there's a reason why they're charging you $150 or $250 to prepare documents.
Yeah, and believe me, whatever your attorney, if you've got a good reputable attorney, whatever they're charging you, it's money well spent
Yeah.
if it's done properly. So,
Right.
let's not get hung up on the fact that you have to pay somebody, $350 an hour. It's worth it, trust me,
Right.
okay?
The
Yeah.
other thing is, for instance, a will in mass has to be witnessed by
Yes,
2 independent witnesses that
Yes.
you don't know and notarized, and so does a healthcare proxy.
exactly.
So, I mean, I don't know how people are getting witnesses doing that online, but that's the rule in mass for a valid will.
Mm.
Because you don't want somebody to contest your will and end up in probate.
Mhm.
You're going to spend more money in probate than you are preparing documents, and it gets tied up for years.
There was something we did, and I don't remember what it was, but it was online. And it had to be notarized by the company or whatever it was online, and I didn't know who the people were. But what they did was they called somebody. It was in a different state.
Right.
Each document had somebody different in a different state of whatever it was they were doing with doing the power, no, it wasn't power of attorney.
DocuShare.
Yeah, it was, well, DocuShare would have been everything electronic, including your signature. But this, you had to be interviewed because you had a notary.
Right.
Okay.
And so it was a notary online.
So was it the camera on and they were recording the signing and stuff?
I don't think we had a camera. I
No.
think there was, everything came across the screen. There may have been a camera where we could see the person and they could see us.
The
I don't
notary
recall.
has to be reasonably assured that you are who you say you are.
Well, there was a
That's-
number of
yeah.
other
Well, let me
documents that
just
they had.
interject here. The Board of Bar Overseers is lackluster performance in Massachusetts. I'll say that as an undertaker. I'm not asking the senator to repeat what I just said. The Board of Bar of Overseers underperforms in this state when it comes to malpractice.
I think that there's an awful lot of
Are you talking about
lack
legal
of
malpractice?
oversight.
Yeah.
I'm talking about lawyers that
Right.
get away with murder and nothing happens to them.
Yeah, there's a lot of lack of oversight, generally
Well,
speaking.
why, so Governor, why appoint these people if nobody loses their
Yeah.
license to practice?
John, you may
I
be
don't know.
you may be right. I don't know specifically as far as the bar is concerned, but you can take your statement and you can apply it to other state.
Oh, undertakers are
agencies.
just as bad. There's
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a
I've
guy
had-
in Lowell,
I've
no
had-
license,
I've
still
had
operating.
very negative experience with the Attorney General's office. Okay, and it's. I'll go right back to what I've always said. You're either a member of the club or you're not. Okay, and that's what it boils down to. I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, because I think if something goes wrong, they look at the attorney first.
Mm-hmm.
It always is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they want to make sure things are, They would be, well, not to use the same term, that would be the legal authority under which you're operating and taking advice from. And, you know, again, there's that trust factor that the person knows what they're talking about and that they're not going to lead you down a path of destruction of some sort, financially, physically, you know.
Well, I had a friend of mine, her mother was defrauded of her house by the other children in the family. She never signed any documentation. It was accepted in land court and processed. All fraud.
Who committed the fraud?
The kids?
Everyone who said, the person who signed their mother's signature, the attorney that did not witness it, and the Board of Bar Overseers did nothing.
It's interesting because when we have sold property, if we're not present for the final signing of the sale of
You
that
don't have to
property.
be there in Massachusetts. Give us
We
the
had
money and get out of here.
the realtors that we dealt with required a notary to have the authorization. We had to have papers notarized that we would have our real estate agent sign on our behalf. We had all kinds of papers that had to go forward.
I've been through a bunch of closings on my own.
Right.
Everybody's been on the up and up, but when this woman, and she's a viewer of the show, when she contacted me about her mother, I said, I can't believe that. She says, that's what happened. She showed me the paperwork, showed me the fraud, and I just said, you gotta call the Board of Bar Overseers, and they'll make this right.
Yeah,
They wrote her back and said, tough cookie.
There must be more to that story.
There has to be more to the
Because
story.
in order to sell your house, you have to have an original deed. You have to sign it and have it notarized. The rest of the documents, you can give power of attorney to your attorney, but you have to get a power of attorney and have that notarized
Yep.
by somebody other than the attorney that's representing you. So, I mean, you have to have all that done and notarized.
Well, I certainly hope so, but I would ask the Board of Bar Overseers, like I would ask the Board of Funeral Directors, how many funeral directors have lost their license in Massachusetts in the last 5 years? How many lawyers have lost their right to practice in the last 5 years? And I bet you can count them on one hand.
You can get that information online.
You want me to ask?
Not right now, next time. Let's stick with
Another show.
Actually, since we're on the real estate topic, so there was a new law passed November 1st, which you might have heard of, Sam. So now, if you sell a home in Massachusetts over $1 million and you plan to move out of state, the attorney has to hold back a 4% tax and
right.
pay it to the state, to the IRS.
But they're making the assumption that that's income, because I was under the impression, and I'm not questioning what you said.
No, but there's exceptions, you're right. If it's your primary residence, there's an
That's
exception.
different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you, because the 4% surcharge on millionaires is for income. So if you have, so you would have to probably have, I'm trying to think of how this works with the numbers.
So,
You
yeah.
would, if you had purchased property in Massachusetts, you pay $500,000 for it. You would have to sell that for over 1.5 million to get the 4%, because you've offset it by what you paid in it, and then if you put money into it, that offsets what it is, because it always offsets capital gains.
Right, so, but according to the form, so if, it's considered
It's
like
just
gross value, so if it's $1 million and you're selling it for that, regardless of the expenses, it's automatically 4%. Then you can take it to your accountant and they can fill out the second part, which takes into account closing fees, what you paid for capital gains, and then they can come up to a different amount, and then they hold 5%.
They take 5% if
Yes.
you take deductions?
Yes.
So what they're trying to do,
I think what they're trying to do is make sure they get the tax, and then when you do your tax at the end of the year, whatever you deserve, they'll give it back to you.
That's exactly
okay.
right.
And then they get the tax
It's
up
almost
front.
like a withholding,
so
right?
I was just gonna say, it's
Yeah.
like, it's withholding, okay.
Almost,
Because
well,
And then
that would
there's-
be like,
right.
And then there's a millionaire tax, which I believe is like 1.2 million, the millionaire tax. Yeah, so then there's the millionaire tax where they tax additional 4%.
right, well, that's on income, so if you make
Yeah.
over $1 million.
Well, that's net income. Okay?
Yes, you make over $1 million
Right.
after taxes,
Right.
Right.
they charge you, and that's the money that was supposed to go to education and roads.
Did
Right.
it, did it go there?
Well, it sort of did, but they created new program. We talked about, you and I didn't
Yeah.
talk about this, but Sam and I talked about this 2 weeks ago. They took the money and Paul Cohen made the comment, started all new programs. They didn't
But
do
that's
what it was intended for.
That's what they always do, Evelyn.
I understand, but that was not what was intended.
Of course
because I
not.
was on the.
We used to call that bait and switch, okay?
That's how all the taxes have worked.
Right.
I've been privy to an awful lot of that over the years. But when I was on the Mass Association of School Committees Board of Directors, they brought up, are we going to support this ballot question or aren't we going to support it? And my issue always, and I talked about the cigarette tax, talked about increases in gas taxes, talked about the lottery when that was first established, and all of the other different things. You can just go right down the line. Everything that all those taxes were for that was supposed to benefit the general public didn't after so many years. It went into the general fund. It was a revenue source. Because I was on the drug-free schools grant writing program, and we applied in Chelmsford for the money from the cigarette tax, and I mean there was all kinds of stuff, and then it all dried up. Why did it dry up? Because the state gradually got rid of the purpose. That's why the ballot question was supposed to be very specific to address the issue that then the state legislature couldn't arbitrarily just take and put that into the general fund. It had to go towards something very specific. So what did they do? They redefined the specific. And that's what happens, just so anybody wants to know. My rant for the day, I have a few that I do every so often.
Well, taxes are a very emotional subject anyway, so we just went through this in Chelmsford. We did our annual tax classification hearing, and in years past, this has been very contentious, but now, since Chelmsford adopted a split back in 2019, so we've had it in place for 6 years, it's now an expectation, so it doesn't draw anybody. Nobody comes out. We didn't have anybody this year at the hearing to speak, you know, and I think the same thing happens in Lowell. I mean, you don't get much activity at your annual tax because, you know, Lowell's had the split for years and years and years, so
Long before we started.
it's not questioned. And at the max, Lowell shifts at 175. We only shift now at 114. The selectmen actually rolled it back a couple of points this year, so I was a little bit surprised to see that. But
Yeah, but they're
Yeah.
trying to do it more gradual. It took a long time to get rid of 5, never mind what they put in. All right, so you wanted to talk about liens. We're running out of time.
liens, yes, very
Yes.
interesting
Oh, okay.
subject. Yeah.
So I think Evelyn touched upon that. So there's the lifetime estate lien, and then there's the estate recovery lien. So for instance, as Evelyn said, so if you own a house jointly with 3 people, one of them goes into a mass health facility, the older one goes into a nursing home facility. Mass Health is going to pay because someone is allowed to have a home and $160,000 in the bank, especially whatever spouse stays in the home. So they automatically put a lien on the home. Except once the person in the nursing home dies, then they release the lien because they no longer have the asset. And the thing is, once they pass, they cannot put a lien in estate recovery because once they pass, the house goes to the other 2. That would be an advantage. But then again, there are disadvantages into putting 3 people on your house.
Is the lien essentially automatic? You know, when you get into that situation, do they, I mean, it's just something that they,
Right.
are they required to file a lien, to
Well,
place
it's
a lien on the
automatic,
property?
and they place it, and they record it at the registry of
Okay,
deeds.
yeah.
Well, that's what happened with my Uncle
Yeah,
Sam.
exactly.
And
So you
then
had
what
touched
my
upon
mother
it.
had to do was go to the lawyer, because she said, well, they can't take the money. I said, well, it's not as easy as that, Ma, it's there.
Right.
So before we can sell the house, we got to get it removed.
Well, it's like a municipal lien where the town doesn't have a choice. Under law, they have to record a lien on your house, you know, for a betterment, all right, on the property. You know, it's not discretionary. They have to do it. So that's my question. Is that the same thing with this?
It's the same thing, yeah.
Okay,
They
all
automatically record it. I mean, one might
Yeah.
fall through the cracks, but that's typically what they do. They automatically record it, then if
Right.
the person dies, then they release it.
So anyway, we're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss or topics for, say, a future time when you come back?
Yeah, we can speak about lien recovery and all that stuff and different options with homes next time.
And
Is it
maybe any other pointers you have on selling real estate or
Yes.
dealing with individuals. So anybody out there that's listening, we'll let you know when Sandra comes back. And again, even if today you have questions, we can begin to accumulate those questions. 978-808-8200,
Yeah, that would be great.
and kind of give you a clue as to what we would talk about.
Tomorrow State Life, Cliff Creek is going to be the host. Eileen Del Rossi will be here. Incoming school committee man Dave Conway will be here. Incoming Lowell City Councilor Belinda Duran will be here. And Regina Fontacanti is going to be here. Evelyn, they're asking about what food did you bring? We didn't get to showcase it today.
Oh, I brought a carrot cake that I sort of doctored up from a cake mix.
Of course you did.
Right, and it had, and I used a can of crushed pineapple in it, so, and then I squeezed all the
Well,
juice
what's
out of
carrot
that.
cake without pineapple?
And then out of some of the pineapple juice that was left, then I made a glaze that went over it that was pineapple. And I also cooked carrots and ground those up and added fresh carrots to the whole thing, so it's pretty good. So thank you very much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Yes.
Everybody will be back. Sam and I will be back next Thursday.
God
John,
willing.
yep. John obviously will be here tomorrow, and we hope everybody stays safe and watch your weather out there.
I know it's supposed to be a cold winter.
See you tomorrow.